This is from EV Magazine, which we love.
We do.
Penn Badgley decided that he was not going to do sex scenes anymore in the 4th season of You.
Which I saw, by the way.
Well, what did you think of it compared to the other seasons?
You know
think
what?
It was weird?
I've heard some takes, and I heard some people said it kind of jumped the shark, but I think I thought it was really interesting because it kind of became a, like a mystery show. All of a sudden, like, who's the killer? And it's not the usual killer, and it's showing a little bit of depth to the character, I guess. And it's not as formulaic as the last 3 seasons. I've enjoyed You so far.
I wasn't aware that Jenna Ortega had been in the first 3, but then left for Wednesday.
Yeah.
But
dude, you know what's funny about Jenna Ortega's on the show, and she is what? I can't say the word. She was about to be
come up with a synonym.
She was about to be no-no'd by Chris D'Elia.
Oh! I recognize this name.
So Chris D'Elia was about to no her, and then
I thought Chris D'Elia was a comedian.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And then Chris D'Elia is giving like a defense for PDF files.
But
he's like
in the show, you mean?
Yeah,
but then in real life, he had the whole
that's what I'm saying.
Scandal. Oh yeah,
and then,
too close to home.
It fucks things. And then it's like he's like, oh, you're just judging me because I'm messed up. Aren't we all messed up, man? It's like, well, there's levels.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk about a time for nuance.
We all make mistakes,
like,
man.
1 in a billion are all numbers, but there's greater degrees.
Yeah. So anyway, Penn Badgley said on a podcast recently that he stopped doing sex scenes because of his marriage, and he feels that it would risk infidelity to his wife. So here's what he said.
What?
I knew you were going to have a problem with this, Brett. He said, I asked Sarah Gamble, the creator of the show, can I just do no more intimacy scenes? This was actually a decision I had made before I took the show. I don't think I've ever mentioned it publicly, but one of the main things is, do I want to put myself back on a career path where I'm always the romantic lead? So he's referring to Gossip Girl and Easy A.
It's hard to be him.
I will dispute that he was a romantic lead in Gossip Girl. I don't think that he was. All of the characters in that show, it was an ensemble cast, and they were all in romantic relationships in the show. So he was not necessarily the lead, and I never thought of him that way. So he continued, fidelity in every relationship, especially in marriage, is important to me. It got to a point where I thought, I don't want to do that. So I said to Sarah, my desire would be 0 intimate scenes, to go from 100 to 0. Before I took the show, it was a question. Do I have a career if I don't? Think about every male lead you loved. Are they kissing someone? Are they doing a lot more than that? And he said that the show's creator was sort of almost empowered by the decision. She had a really positive response, and they came back with a phenomenal reduction. So I don't know if they got rid of the sex scenes. Did you say?
No, they didn't get rid of the sex scenes. I saw.
They reduced them, though.
It was a half season. I saw the whole thing.
Okay.
So first off, what an absolute remedial take. First off, the premise of the show is that, spoilers, you are a sociopath that obsesses over women and you pursue them romantically intensely. So here's the thing. When you pursue that role, I'm guessing you're going to have some intimate scenes with women. So maybe consider that before you say, the show where the whole thing is about me dating women because I obsess over them. Yeah, I don't want to date them on the show. Like, what are you talking about?
That's a bigger problem in season 1 than it is in season 4. By season 4, you can change up the problem. My issue here is more that the creator's name is Sarah with an E. I think that should be punishable.
It's SERA, not even an H at the end.
That's just wrong.
Yeah, it does seem wrong.
That's just wrong.
I know that, Brett, your take on, for instance, like gay actors playing straight characters or straight actors playing gay characters is like, it's a job, you do what you have to do, and if you can't, then you can't compete in this industry.
I just don't understand what it means by saying that it's going to cause him to be, he's not really doing it. I don't understand the argument here. He's not actually having sex with these women. He's simulating it on camera in front of hundreds of people.
I mean, that almost seems just as bad when you're saying it out loud, right? But this is just, my conclusion is, people in Hollywood can't have real relationships. They are non-functional. Like, they've shown that they are maladjusted, narcissistic, pathological people. They have a self-destructive need for validation, and it's a very rare exception when they do have a functional long-term relationship.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
So maybe the office of an actor or an actress is to be not a person but a spectacle, and not expect to have relationships that require you to even think these things through.
Well, be more selective of your roles, because if what you're being offered is like, hey, this has things about you dating women, it's like, yeah, as long as I can't kiss them. Like, okay, dude.
Like, yeah, is he saying I'm still willing to kiss in scenes, but we can't do sex scenes?
He did. I mean, they have sex scenes.
Then what's the point? Then he's still doing. In real life. Okay, then would it be any less cheating in real life if he just kissed another lady rather than have sex with her? It's still the same thing. Either
it's not
do both, or
it's not the same thing when you do it for real, and it's not the same thing
still
when
cheating.
You put it on TV.
It's absolutely the same. I mean, it's not the same act, but it's still the same betrayal.
But there
are
different.
Person.
You have to recognize that there are different gravities of these actions, right? There's a different level of importance between the two. So it's just like, we can't ignore that.
I can appreciate him making the decision to do so if he thinks that it would harm his marriage in some way. Yeah. I think it proves that the actors don't have the ability to separate their work, which they should be able to do.
Well, maybe
it feels
it's because
like the rare example.
Maybe it's because of his wife, who is not an actor, and why would she be able to separate it if she's not an actor?
It makes me think Neil McDonough doesn't do sex scenes, and he got derided for it. Remember that? Neil McDonough got blacklisted from Hollywood for a period of time because he did it on religious grounds. He said, look, I'm married. I refuse to be unfaithful to my wife in any regard. And they called him a religious nut for doing that.
This goes in degrees. Would you date a porn star?
No.
I don't think you would. But it's fake. You're just acting. You have to separate art from the artist. You have to separate what your job is from your personal life.
And I'm saying I wouldn't do it.
That's not applicable in all situations for all people. And
well, that's an extreme example. Also,
I don't know. Like, I'm saying there are varying degrees of extremity when it comes to like what you're putting on screen and what's fake and what's real, right? Like, you are really making out with that person, even though it's for a scene. Like, so that is a real thing that's happening.
Is a scene where you're actually kissing someone that's not your wife somehow on a different scale better or worse than having simulated sex with another person?
CGI the answer?
Yeah, like Jonah Hill and Laura London. They did a scene at the end of You People where they kiss at the end, but they didn't actually do the scene. They got their heads about this close, and then they did it in post-production.
Yeah, someone said sex scenes in entertainment are just weird at this point. That's my main take. Like, I just think it's very awkward to make the audience, especially if they're with their friends or family at the moment.
I have no desire to watch sex scenes.
Graphic, way too long, like dragging sex scenes that add nothing to the plot.
Absolutely.
That are 100% for shock value and coarsening the culture. And I feel this way definitely about Euphoria. Euphoria was that, like, times 1,000. It was specifically to make the person watching feel like they're weird for watching it. But it's like, no, Sam Levinson, you are weird for making it.
I definitely think you can make sexuality tasteful. Like, absolutely. And it's definitely been done before.
Then I want Hollywood to start...
Walking Dead did that really well. Yeah. At least at the beginning.
Everyone's got one example. The thing is...
I'm just singing the praises of Walking Dead so much because I'm watching it over
I want these actors to start taking this into all aspects of the production. If an actor does a role where he plays a right-wing fascist government dictator, does he have to then espouse it? Like, does his wife leave him because she's a lefty and doesn't like him? Like, at what point does it become not acting anymore?
Well, sexuality is a lot different from holding in opinion. I think sexuality is just such a powerful and
what
important
about a scene where a guy
people.
hits a woman in a show? Does his wife leave him because he hit a woman in a show, or does it have to do with what's in his heart when he did it?
I think we're ignoring the complexity, which is that sexuality is just such a powerful thing.
Yeah, it's the thing.
That it is the exception, and it is the only exception, honestly. What we really need, though, is to just like bring back a class of eunuchs. Like, they can perform in like
I'm listening.
Like, you know how men in ancient Greece used to perform as the female characters instead of having females on stage? It had to have something to do with that, you know? That like it leaves real sex out of the art, you know?
So the argument here, like somebody in the chat, let me say this. Ronald says there has to be some psychological effect between you and your partner, even if it's fake. He's talking about the actors on screen. I've heard people say the same thing about scenes where they have to fake violence. So does he leave with more with shame in his heart because he had to fake a violent scene with someone? At what point do you just do your job and that it's acting? Maybe you're right. Maybe he can't. Maybe you can't be a married person and be in a relationship and do these types of things. I think that it's an interesting discussion to have.
I think because the industry has such a history of cheating and this person
deviancy.
Deviancy. This person gets on a movie with this person and now they're married, and then they're on a movie with this other person and now they're divorced.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. This guy famously, the girl shot on his bed. What's his name?
Wait, who?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. I'm just bad with names.
Meeting people at work when you're an actor is a horrible idea.
I'm just, Brett, when you're saying all of this, like, it's your job, you have to kind of get over it. I'm picturing you saying that to someone who does porn, and I'm like, it's not. I'm
not saying
real,
they need to get over it. I'm saying that as a couple, they need to have a serious discussion about what their boundaries are.
But it sounds like they have, and they've come to this conclusion.
And that's fine. But I don't know if I think it's fair for her to go to him. Okay, I don't know what she does for a living, but my guess is he's the primary breadwinner in this family. That's my guess. I have no idea. Maybe she's the daughter of a billionaire. I have no idea. So he's the primary breadwinner in this family. He has done so for 3 seasons by simulating a bunch of sexual intercourse with hot women on screen.
Nice.
And she is now his wife and says, we are now married. I need you to potentially, now obviously this isn't what happened, potentially risk your job by saying you can't do the thing that, now we don't know she said this, right? We don't know if that's what this discussion was.
No,
but
I
they
know.
need to have this discussion and say, look, I would prefer if you do not do this, even if it risks your job. And if he deems that marriage worthy and he loves her, that's good. That's good of him to make that concession to her. But
if
it's an interesting
Hollywood
thing to
weren't
talk
so
about.
insane in the first place, I don't think that Penn Badgley and his wife would have needed to have this conversation to begin with. Hollywood is the villain in this story, in my mind, and I really dislike this trend where we're blurring the lines between mainstream entertainment and porn. It's getting so bad, and every time I see people talking about the prevalence of graphic sexuality and nudity in TV and movies, everyone is saying the same thing. It makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me feel like I can't watch things with my own family members or my own friends, or even my significant other.
Yeah.
No one is actually in favor of this trend except for the writers who are forcing it on the rest of us.
I disagree with that. I think
they're the weird ones. Sam
Twitter.
Levinson is a freaking creep.
Twitter people and stands and shippers love the graphic stuff.
Maybe, yes, sure. The shippers, those weirdos are a small sliver of the rest of the
but they're the loudest
fan base.
But they're the loudest,
sure. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I don't blame Penn Badgley. I don't blame his wife for either of their opinions on this, because I don't think they would have needed to confront this problem if it hadn't been inflicted on them by Hollywood's weird obsession with sexuality in the first place.
Then the question is, would the show have gotten 4 seasons if it didn't do that? So Sanity Clause in the chat says, it's a cope on my part because I want to watch people have sex on screen. I don't watch those scenes. I agree with you, Mary, that most of the time, I always give the example of the first scene between Mike and Rachel from Suits as one of the rare times where a sex scene felt earned, and even then it was PG-13 television earned, right? Most of the time I find them to be a distraction to the story and not necessary, but it is an interesting discussion about the unique challenges that this specific profession has. Think about how bad Trump derangement syndrome is in Hollywood, and think about some dude who has to play like a right-wing politician in a movie, and then his like far left wife comes home and it's just like, I just can't look at you anymore, and I don't see anything but an evil right wing. Like whoever ends up playing Donald Trump in the documentary one day will then come home to his wife, and his wife will be like, does Alec Baldwin go home, and does Ilaria, whatever her name is, freaking say, I just can't see you without seeing Donald Trump anymore. I just can't.
I don't think that's comparable, but someone in the chat said maybe this is because sex sells. And like sex sells in a certain sense, but
I definitely, dude, I think there's a lot to the point that you were making, that in modern day it's more gruesome and disgusting the way they go about it. Because right now I've been debating in my mind, would I be okay with this? And all that I could come up with was, if it was Hollywood, no. If it was Broadway, yes.
Interesting. Explain that.
Because Hollywood,
dude, Broadway is twice as woke as Hollywood. Broadway is awful.
No, I disagree. I mean,
sexually they might not be they might not be as like debaucherous as Hollywood, but
I'm sure they're just as bad.
I doubt it. You know, I'm thinking the theater is more artistic than whatever schlop we're eating now. You know,
it's still getting pretty bad.
I'm sure, but because it's run by women, and you know,
dude, I'm sorry. Like
they them
diversity high.
I was talking about this weekend. Like the sex scenes around people, you know, when it's uncomfortable, that sucks. But in general, I see this stuff. I'm like, whatever. Like figure it out. Like to this guy, like
it's moral fatigue.
Good on them for figuring it out, I guess. But I'm not gonna feel like because I'm never gonna be in a relationship with someone who has part of their job has to make out or fake having sex with another person. So it won't ever affect me. Therefore, I say, the unique challenges that you face being, you know, to make the money you're making doing this job, good on you for figuring it out. It is an interesting argument to have that the director saw it as a challenge to like work how to, I guess, cut back on the amounts of sex.
That's so telling. Directors these days are not willing to take on that challenge. And what I'm saying about like that point, like sex sells, is like, does it though? Because TV sucks so bad compared to in the early 2010s or the late 2000s when it was at such a peak and graphic nudity and graphic sex scenes were not the norm.
But
less effort means they're going to be relying more on sex scenes as a crutch.
But sex isn't just the act. You know, it's also the PR about it's the wow, they got an attractive female lead. They got an attractive male lead. They do seem to have some chemistry. Oh, that was
Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson.
That's the Batmobile. That is the old school Hollywood way of promoting your movies, right? Is by like, ooh, look at these actors. They're so into each other.
Suggestion of sex is so much more tantalizing than shoving it in your face.
That's what I'm saying. It's the, oh, wow, they do really seem to have some chemistry. Like,
it's their job to fake it. It's their job to fake it. So, thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.